Today, I stand before you to present our budget of renewed hope, a budget which will go further than ever before in cementing macroeconomic stability, reducing the deficit, increasing capital spending, and allocation to reflect the 8 priority areas of this administration.
Budget of renewed hope. It's budget season, and we are glad that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has kept to the January to December budget cycle in Nigeria. This he demonstrated on Wednesday, the 29th of November, when he presented the 2024 Federal Government Appropriation Bill to the joint session of the 10th National Assembly. Budget is an estimate of income and expenditure for a set period of time. And of course, when we talk about income, we are talking largely about taxes. So on this episode of Tax Matters, we will dissect the 2024 budget speech of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and highlight the aspects that concern or touch on taxes and taxation.
The 2024 appropriation has been themed Budget of Renewed Hope. The proposed budget seeks to achieve job-rich economic growth, macroeconomic stability, a better investment environment, enhanced human capital development, as well as poverty reduction and greater access to social security. To improve the effectiveness of our budget performance, government will focus on ensuring value for money, greater transparency and accountability. A stable macroeconomic environment is important to catalyze private investment and accelerate economic growth. We have and shall continue to implement business and investment-friendly measures to sustainable growth. We expect the economy to grow by a minimum of 3.76%, above the forecasted world average. Inflation is expected to moderate to 21.4% in 2024.
On the parameters of the 2024 federal government budget,
we have adopted a conservative oil price benchmark of $77.96 per barrel and daily oil production estimate of 1.78 million barrels per day. We have also adopted a Naira to US dollar exchange rate of 7.50 per US dollar for 2024. Accordingly, an aggregate expenditure of 27.5 trillion naira is proposed for the federal government in 2024. We are currently reviewing our tax and fiscal policies. Our target is to increase the ratio of revenue to GDP from less than 10% currently to 18% within the term of this administration.
To underscore the importance this administration attaches to the work at hand, later that same day, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Alhaji Abubakar Bagudu, gave a breakdown of the 2024 federal government budget, which is focused on 8 key parameters. The minister gave an overview of the 2023 revenue performance of the country from January to September.
2023 revenue performance, 11,045 billion expected as revenue in 2023. 8,653 have been achieved by September. And when the pro rata is taken, it shows a commendable performance where the pro rata revenue expected between January to September of 8.2 trillion has been exceeded by the actual collection of 8.6. The total Federation account revenue is projected to increase to 26.62 trillion in 2024, up from 11.86 trillion projected in 2023. Federation account is the money that is shared between the three tiers of government. The 2024 Federal Government of Nigeria revenue is projected at 18.32 trillion. The projections, including the different classes, including non-oil, oil and non-oil, dividends, independent revenue, and education tax, electronic money transfer, and drawdown from special accounts. Revenue generation remains a major fiscal constraint to Nigeria's fiscal viability. However, the Presidential Tax Force is working, and the results of the Presidential Tax Force are yielding fruit. The management of the FIRS have been changed, and in addition to what the former chairman was doing, the very energetic new chairman, Zach Adedeji, has been improving revenue performance from the FIRS. The target is to increase the ratio of revenue to GDP from the current less than 10% to 18% of GDP. Efforts will continue to be made about tax administration, collection efficiency, and overall budget efficiency.
2024 federal government budget there for you.
It is an offense punishable by a fine of 10 million naira and or imprisonment for any agency of the federal government other than FIRS to demand for books or returns for the purposes of tax. It is also an offense to carry out the function of assessment, collection or enforcement of tax, or pay any portion of tax revenue to any person or into any account other than the relevant accounts designated by the Constitution or relevant laws of the National Assembly. It pays to pay your tax. This message is brought to you by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
You are still on to Tax Matters. We want to remind companies whose accounting year is July to June that payment of their company's income tax is due at the end of December. This is to be accompanied by filing and payment of associated taxes like education tax, police trust fund levy, and of course, NASENI and NIDA levies for companies that are liable to those taxes and levies. Do not forget that VAT is also due on the 21st day of this month for the transactions carried out in November, while companies appointed as VAT source deduction agents are to remit the VAT withheld by them from their suppliers on the 14th day of this month. Remittance of withholding tax is also due on the 21st day of this month. So do not be caught on the wrong side of the law. Perform your civic duty. And just in case by omission or commission you have fallen on the wrong side of the tax laws, we have cheering news for you from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. A press release under the hand of the Executive Chairman of FIRS, Dr. Zacchaeus Adedeji, has conveyed the full waiver of all accumulated penalties and interest on all tax liabilities of companies' income tax filers, provided that the principal sum owed is paid on or before the 31st day of December 2023. That is in 3 weeks from now. That's a big relief. The FIRS is empowered by extant tax laws to impose penalties and interest for failure by companies to fulfill their tax obligations as and when due. According to the statement released to media houses by Mr. Dari Adekombi, Special Assistant on Media to the Executive Chairman FIRS, Dr. Adedeji, stated that the forgiveness of piled-up penalties and interest was in recognition of the challenges that many taxpayers have faced in settling their outstanding tax liabilities. According to Dr. Adedeji, the concession also syncs with the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to support businesses to flourish. The Executive Chairman FIRS went further to explain that full payment of outstanding original tax liabilities without interest on or before the 31st of December this year must be done by companies wishing to benefit from the special concession. Please note that the full penalty and interest shall be reinstated after the expiration of this one-off concession window, where the outstanding undisputed liability remains fully or partially unpaid. FIRS appreciates all taxpayers who have been diligent in complying with their tax obligations as and when due, while seeking their continued support and cooperation for a more responsive and robust tax system, Adedeji said. Thumbs up for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Kudos to the FIRS. Applause to Dr. Adedeji. Are you in this category of the lucky ones? Now is the time to take action. The clock is ticking. We move on. One of the major aspects of the modus operandi of tax administration at the FIRS is having robust collaboration with our stakeholders and taxpayers, which is geared towards building a customer-centric institution. In keeping with that, the Taxpayer Services Department of the FIRS held a roadshow on Thursday, the 23rd of November 2023 in Abuja to sensitize the general public on their tax obligations.
We are here today. The Federal Revenue Service holds a roadshow today to let you know that it pays to pay your tax. What do they do in Federal Revenue Service? FIRS collect taxes on behalf of the federal government. The taxes collected by Federal Revenue Service are company income tax, value-added tax, capital gain tax, petroleum profit tax, stamp duty, ITRA, the Nigerian Police Transport Levy, and also personal income tax from the members of police, armed forces, Nigerian State Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and non-resident individual taxpayers. Taxpayer identification number. When you get the taxpayer identification number, you will be voted on our new solution called Tax Solution. Please note that TIN is free. You are not to pay when you are collecting your TIN. On the Tax Solution, you can register, you can file, you can pay your taxes online. Just log on to www.taxpromax.gov.ng and you have a prompt, you follow the prompt. With the Tax Solution, you just need one click and you get your thesis.
The occasion was also used to visit compliant taxpayers to appreciate and encourage them. The general public was also not left out, as the service also presented gift items to some individuals.
Appreciate you and to also thank you very much and to encourage you to do more of what you have been doing. It is your effort that make the country move forward. It is your effort that allow government to get revenue for it to be able to accomplish so many things like provision of roads, provision of security, and so many other things.
We are impressed really on this laudable activity. Well, we try as much as possible to comply with the rules and the regulation concerning tax, and we'll continue to do more.
We understand that you file your returns on time, you pay your taxes on time, you don't have any outstanding liability. That is why the chairman says we should stop by and thank you very much and appreciate you for your efforts.
on behalf of our organization, we want to thank the FIRS for their cooperation, for their kindness, for their show of benevolence. They've been very cooperative over the years, and we've had a very good and successful working relationship with members of the FIRS. And we want to seize this opportunity to reaffirm our unwavering support to ensure that we do as is required by the law.
The service has really impacted on our business in the sense that they are regular coming into the organization to review our books, has always put us on our toes to always do the right thing in terms of tax compliance. And that has really helped us in the compliance too.
Having gone around the city of Abuja, the sensitization team, led by the Director, Taxpayer Services Department, Haji Asadatu Yero, reported back to the Revenue House headquarters of the FIRS in Abuja to brief the management of the service.
We have gone round for our normal road show. The purpose of the road show is to go around and educate our taxpayers, enlighten them, inform them of the reforms and activities of the service. We also use the opportunity to pay a relationship visit to some of our compliant taxpayers. We encourage them to continue to be tax compliant and also to hear from them if they are facing any challenges with the service.
The highly elated coordinating directors present welcomed back the theme and gave words of encouragement and commendation.
We want to appreciate this department who have taken it upon themselves to ensure that all over the country our staff go out not only to educate the taxpayer, to also render support to the taxpayer. While you educate the taxpayer, also ensure that you yourself, you are well educated.
The first step in helping our taxpayers, right, to ensure that they discharge their obligations, right, timely, is to educate them on what they are supposed to do and how they are supposed to go about it, right? So I think this is a highly commendable initiative, and especially at this period when the service and the country itself is trying to consolidate on the achievements that have been gained, right, through the various tax and fiscal policy reforms that is ongoing.
The coordinating director, Executive Chairman's Group, Mr. Emil Abubakar, spoke on behalf of the Executive Chairman FIRS, Dr. Zacchaeus Adedeji.
We welcome you back from this year's road show. Undoubtedly, it is an event that gives us opportunity to meet and interact with taxpayers in order to create awareness and taxpayer education on our operations. I'd like to use this opportunity to appreciate the overall commitment of all staff towards achieving our mandate. We are very hopeful that with your continued cooperation, dedication, and patriotism, we are going to achieve and surpass our 2023 tax collection target. I also want to urge you all to get prepared for the year 2024 and strategize for better and optimal performance in the coming years.
We'll wrap up this episode with the concluding part of the question and answer session from the stakeholders engagement organized by the Large Tax Department Oil and Gas of the FIRS for oil and gas downstream companies and tax consultants in the northern region, including the FCT. On generating tax clearance certificate for new companies.
If a company is incorporated in 2021 and the company commenced business the following year, which is 2022, and it needs to collect her tax clearance, going into e-service, it will tell you you can't generate, you have to go back to the tax office because you have not commenced business. The man here said he's an administrator on his own. I should be able to generate my tax clearance because my company was incorporated in 2021. When you go to the tax office, they will tell you you should write for application for tax clearance. On reaching there, they will tell you no, it will not work until you file assessment year. And already 2022 has been filed. They will tell you that you pay additional penalty for the reversal. One issue of TCC for companies that are newly incorporated. For companies that are newly incorporated, we can issue automatic TCC because you don't have records repository on the system. And we know most of our companies, before you issue such TCCs, you have to be sure that such a company actually is in business or not in business. We had instances whereby taxpayers are requested for TCC, they had half details on their TCC. The reason why you had half details on your TCC was because the information that was on the system was not complete. Whenever your information are not complete on the system, that is your tax records, you have to go to the tax office so that your TCC will be issued from the tax office.
On filing by NGOs on Tax Pro Max.
The NGOs, they are exempted from paying tax. They are exempted from paying VAT. And when you register your NGO on Tax Pro Max, what is stated there is a non-profit making organization. That is your object. But when you try to file account for that NGO, it will generate your tax. I want them to improve on it. Filing by NGOs. NGOs are not exempted from taxes if they deal with taxable or untaxable goods. So when you go to file on the system has made provision for you to disclose your sources of revenue. And if you disclose that your sources of revenue are from non-taxable revenue, the system will not charge you any tax. So whenever you see the system charging you taxes, it means that you did not properly declare your revenue. It means your non-taxable revenue were entered on a taxable revenue line, and the system will tax it appropriately. It should also be noted that the law requires that any revenue that you earn that is not taxable, expenses associated to it must be added back. That is another line that taxpayers sometimes forget to do. You see that they've exempted the non-taxable revenue, but the expenses associated to it, they will not add it back. So you see their account running into perpetual loss, which does not exist. I know we have decentralized the filing of NGOs. Before now we had designated offices where this is done, but currently it is only those in Abuja, Port Harcourt and Lagos that is centralized. And FIRS issued a circular that if you're outside those places, you can file in the nearest tax office.
On audit.
The first question goes to the audit, and then the second goes to the tax controller. On the audit issue, is it possible that for a single company to receive an tax audit compliance exercise invitation from 2 different tax offices? Second questions to the tax controller. During his presentations, he made mention about the tax e-wallet. What is that tax e-wallet? How does it work?
I want to believe you are talking about maybe tax audits, special audits, and investigation. Is that your question? All right. If such an issues had occurred, hitherto to now, which we are working on now, we are sorry. But henceforth, you may not have those convictions. But if it happens now, I think what you need to do is to write to that company. If you have started one, then show the evidence that audit has started in so place. So the 2 audits will harmonize.
The wallet is actually for piecemeal payment of outstanding tax amounts. If you were unable to pay your taxes in bulk on or before the due date, and the law requires that after the due date you are to pay it at once. However, we know how businesses or business environment is. The wallet is to enable you pay in piecemeal with or without the interest and penalty until you complete your payment. So the wallet is a mechanism for settlement of your tax liability in piecemeal. Pay as you go.
On Tax Pro Max.
When you're generating an invoice, you go to group taxes, you see a file there, file returns, payee, which
invoices using the group taxes. Let's say in picking your schedule, you mistakenly pick withholding VAT schedule and upload it to a withholding payment module. Discard that payment reference number because the schedule is attached to the payment reference number or to the invoice. Don't present it to the bank. The only challenge you have is once you present it to the bank and the bank process, the only window that you have there is to apply for refund. Because once payment comes, distribution of credit happens automatically. The payment invoice lasts for 21 days. So if you don't present it to bank for payment, it will automatically expire by 21 days.
We thank you for riding with us on today's episode of Tax Matters. Let's do this again next week. Same station, same day of the week, and same time of the day. Remember, ain't nothing wrong with ember months. All you need to do is put your vehicle in good order. Don't drink when you drive. Don't overspeed. Stay alive. Bye for now.